Get out of here. Zoom. What the fuck? You're live.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. We're just gonna give people a second to join here.
Got a couple minutes.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, though. We, as always, love to have you guys here. We're just getting situated as well. But if you are here and you're dropping in, let us know where you're dropping in from. We always love to know where you guys are, and who cares about what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're in South Lake Tahoe. So we're in California,
Yep.
up in the mountains. Apparently getting
Some
2 feet of snow this weekend, which is
higher elevation. We'll see.
pretty stellar. Oh, let me shut down my music just to make sure that doesn't happen.
Oh yeah. Let us know if you guys are having a hard time hearing us.
Right. Got 1 minute.
Yeah, we have 1 minute. I'm just gonna bring.
We were on the Savage Garden radio train this morning,
And-
which I have to say was actually pretty fantastic.
It was a great time.
It's
They did
pretty
start
good.
playing something from Chicago, and that made me feel really excited. So
Like you're in Broadway.
yeah, it
again.
felt great. I was like,
Just
oh,
sometimes you need a little drama in
I
your
love it.
morning life.
Yeah. Okay, let me.
Today we're talking about what gloves you're supposed to be using
Yep.
in food processing, trying to help a little bit, maybe get a starting point, a good idea what you need, where to start the conversation. That's also why we're here to help.
Yep.
Um,
And this
But it
again, it's just a casual conversation.
Yes.
So like ask us questions anytime. We're here to help. That's why we do these.
yes, we're really trying to get, trying to give you broad knowledge that we have, lay of the industry, things that are going on, things that are working with other companies.
Yeah.
But it's also hard to say specifically exactly for you unless we talk to you, because there's a few nuances as you'll hear. But hopefully this helps a little bit, maybe narrow down on a topic of a product that maybe you're not super familiar with, but you need.
Yes. Yep. So pop questions in the chat anytime. We're actually here. We're live, so we can answer questions.
Yeah, we're real,
We're real people.
What is the trick when you hold three over your face? We don't
it's
disappear,
like, guys, we're not.
right? Is that
Yeah.
the AI trick?
Oh, I didn't know that.
If a AI face, if you hold 3 fingers, apparently it's too much and it flickers a bit and you can tell they're fake.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're real. Yes.
We are real. And if you'd like to be part of this next month, click subscribe. It always helps us, and it'll let you kind of get some updates on what we're doing and what's happening. So I guess a quick intro for us, if you don't know us. I'm Ashley, and this is Sarah. And we are with EcoProtect, and essentially we are a glove supplier, a PPE supplier, and we are the world's first B Corp certified disposable glove and clothing specialist. But we are not the only one anymore, which is great. But again, we can help you with anything relating to this side of your business if you need it.
Yes. And what makes us a little different is we are, as far as I know, the only company that independently lot test their gloves when they come over to the US. So when we import our gloves, right now it's the 2.6 through the 5 mil, so a range of them. And the ones that are used with ready to eat foods. So the foods, as soon as they make it, you eat it. They're not cooking it again. We send those to labs and we third-party test those to make sure they're as clean as they should be, as strong as they should be. They're not full of toxic chemicals. They're not full of holes. Just make sure you can trust what's in the box and prove that they're consistent. I guess materials don't change, protections don't change.
Yep.
All good stuff.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's get started, and we will hop into the topic of the day, which is what gloves should I use?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one is like, it seems like it's so straightforward. You're like, oh, the purple ones. Okay. Or it's like, or the 4 mil, it's like the standard. So, but there's a lot of gloves out there. And if you look at our catalog, we have a very small line. And I think we maybe have 20 gloves? So I mean, it's like we do have a quite small line, and we still have quite a few to pick from. When you open it up, your first thought is like, wow, the yellow is pretty.
Yeah. It's like,
But it's like,
oh.
what's the difference between them besides color? Because there is a lot of difference and they perform differently. So there's a lot of different layers with the gloves where they're not maybe as simple as they could look initially.
Yes. So I guess a good place that we can start to kind of jump into this is more of the hands-on food processing environment. We do talk a lot in food processing, but we will touch on different industries later, just a little bit. So the first thing with more of a hands-on food processing environment that you want to look at is like, what is your product? That seems very self-explanatory, but what is your product? What are you handling?
Yes. So that does matter. Okay. Just to set the stage of where we're starting in the market, if you just say a nitrile glove, I would say the standard glove, just as we're kind of starting, and mil is the thickness. Mil is the, okay, hold on, I have one. So mil is like, if you measure the thickness of the glove this way, so you can tell the difference. It's hard to see visually, so sorry, here, feel this.
Yeah.
But the mil is the thickness of the glove. And if I was going to say, like somebody just goes standard run of the mill nitrile glove, they're probably talking about a 4 mil.
Uh-huh.
So if in conversation that helps you kind of gauge thickness, what we're talking about, let's say the classic standard is a 4 mil. We have been seeing a lot of people, not a lot of people, it has been more commonly that people are starting to use a 3 mil, so a little bit thinner glove.
Mhm.
I do think a lot of this was probably spurred by budgets and people asking for a cheaper glove and trying to cut cost a little bit. But when we're talking standard gloves, kind of as a starting point, that you're talking like a 3 and a 4 kind of are in there. With most people, it's probably a 4. With us, I'd say it's probably a 3 because we have really good, strong gloves.
Yeah.
As you know, if I'm sure all of our people that have been following us for a long time.
Yep.
Okay. But when it comes to the product you're producing, there's a few things that really matter because the glove touches the product, it handles the product. So if, depending on what the product is, it could require a little more of the glove.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So if your product is quite sticky, think like something with date or jellies or peanut butter. I'm sure there's something besides condiments, but those are, so if you think of products like that, they're going to be quite sticky and tacky when you're touching them. And that's going to pull a lot more on the glove. There's a lot more stress on the glove and something like that. You might want to go a mil higher just to give it a little extra thickness if you are working with something like that.
Right.
So if we're starting for our gloves, I would say like a 3. So I would probably go to a 4 if I had something sticky. And that would make sense because Nature's Bakery, who fills all their great little fig bars with jelly,
so good.
uses our 4 mil. And that is a little bit of a tacky product because we've all had that great gooey jelly in the middle.
It's the best.
But then there's also a few things like if your product is sugar coated. So let's say you have like ice cream cones or candy or something where there's sugar on the outside. Sugar is just like sandpaper and it can really wreak havoc on gloves. So in that instance, I would also recommend starting 1 mil higher just as a starting point because of that. The other thing would be, like you mentioned, the packaging. If the packaging has sharp corners, let's think, okay, like Lunchables. Sorry, I'm that age. I'm the age of when Lunchables came out and they were like the best things ever. And now we know what's inside of them. But they have the plastic containers and there's the cellophane on top, you peel it off, but those corners can be pretty sharp because it is plastic that's just cut into squares. So if you have something like that where the packaging, or even if it's, like little applesauce packets that kids eat. They have the little pouches now.
Yeah. And I mean, you think a pouch is all soft,
but the corners can be quite sharp and jagged. And so if you're dealing with those kinds of things, you may need to up a mil just because that can snag a glove and be quite sharp. So there's a few things with the product or the packaging you may have to take into consideration. So I would say for our glove, a great starting point is our 3 mil. But if you do have something that's a little more abrasive, a little stickier, a little sharper, then you might have to bump up to the 4 mil as a starting point for testing. And then you test if you need the 4 or the 5 kind of a thing. But and then you don't need to test the 3 and then the 4 and then the 5. And so it gives you a better starting point and makes it a faster process. Because you want to make a change, you want to make good things, but you also don't want to spend like 3 months like testing gloves and finding all these are ripping. And so it kind of gives a better.
No, I like that.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Yes, where to go? Where to start?
And so, essentially what Sarah is saying, it's just depending on the intensity of the work that you're doing and what you're handling, that'll kind of dictate your glove, as we kind of can assume. But
that's a good point when you said intensity of it. So it's also, if I do have that super sticky product, but let's say it's just this little, I don't know, like Reese's cup going on a conveyor belt, and all I have to do is like bump it. That's not as big of a deal if I'm like peeling it off and moving it and pick it like. So like the more intense the contact also determines that if I'm watching the sugar cones go by is way different than if I'm grabbing them and turning them and it's really rubbing on the glove. So yes, that matters also is the product and then how you're interacting with it. That's a good point.
There's another thing too that we kind of look at. So say your team is like opening lids or
Oh,
This
yeah.
is kind of what we talked about.
Yes,
with, like,
another thing of
torque.
great packaging.
So like if you're moving your hands or, putting stress on it
Yeah.
in that way, that can also be a really big thing for disposable gloves that you
Yeah.
need to think about. So that added pressure just means you'll likely want maybe a thicker glove or just a better quality glove.
Yeah,
in
because
general.
that torque can really rip a glove too, especially in the palm when you're because a lot of machines put the lids on, but then as a quality measure, sometimes the
like,
employees have to make sure and double
it.
check that they're on.
Yeah.
And that's just that extra torque on the glove.
Yeah.
Can be pretty hard on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one would be I forgot to say it. How about frozen?
Yeah, that's a big one.
If you have frozen products, that would be another one that I would probably increase the mil on the gloves. Also depends on how you're interacting with them. If I'm watching frozen burger patties go by on the conveyor belt,
Just like, oh, they're
not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
But if I'm picking them up, moving them, handling them a lot, the ice shards are actually quite sharp.
Knife-like.
Yeah. So the shards are actually quite sharp and they can cut and be pretty hard on gloves.
Yeah.
So if your product is frozen, that would be another time where you might want to increase the mil when you're starting to test out gloves.
Yeah.
And then also the intensity of that matters. Where
like if you're lifting carcasses versus if you're like, just like spinning it when it's
so there's a big
but-
difference between actually like breaking down the animal and then having it ground into patties where it's like the final frozen product versus like handling the knives and handling so there's a lot more involved.
Yeah.
So it depends on what part of the process it is when the meat is frozen. And the weight of the product. Yes, if I'm lifting something that's 2 pounds is a lot less on the gloves than if I'm lifting something that's 30 pounds.
Right.
It's a lot more weight on the gloves.
Yeah.
But amazingly sharp ice.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
And especially, I know, like seriously, I'm like, oh.
It's hard, but
It's
it
a
is
hard
also sharp.
thing.
Yes.
But this is also where texture comes in as well with gloves, especially with frozen foods.
That's true.
Because you have like a greasy, icy, slippery surface. So sometimes it's not even about going thicker with your glove when it comes to frozen product, but just the grip that you have on your glove, which can be helpful.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got so sidetracked. I just remembered. Did you know that there's a law in Minnesota? I don't think you can like catch a greased pig. Or there's something against the rules. Yeah, you have to Google it. There's something where like you can't oil or grease a pig and like let it go to catch it. So you know how they like there's a saying you can't catch the greased pig.
Oh yeah.
I don't think in Minnesota you can, which is totally unrelated to any of this.
Really
but
funny.
But so if you imagine the grip on gloves,
right? You need a good grip.
So the texture matters. So thickness matters for breakage. Sorry, I don't know why I thought of that. So the thickness matters to help in durability and breaking, but then also depending on the product, you need to make sure you have a good grip on it as well. So yes, the texture would matter when you're
greasy pig
catching the greased pig.
Yeah.
Oily.
No, I think that's a great segue.
Yes, that was.
But yeah, I do think the texture is a really important part of this. So it's that's just another level which we can also help with. If you are struggling with ripping and you're not sure if it's your thickness of the glove or if it's texture related or if you're having troubles with other things, like we can obviously help trial that.
But when you open the glove catalog and they all look the same besides color, texture could also be something you don't quickly visually see the difference between. So there could be a big difference between this blue glove and that blue glove if one's diamond textured and one's smooth.
Right.
So that would be another reason that would differentiate the gloves.
Yep.
And speaking of diamond texture, do you want to say our new secret? It just came in yesterday.
Yes.
It's exciting.
We have a quick teaser, everyone. So we do have a new glove, which is very exciting. And it's coming soon specifically for the meat and poultry industry. It is our new 1420 double diamond latex glove. So it's not nitrile. It is latex, which is pretty common in the meat processing industry. And we're really excited about it. It is diamond textured. It has a long cuff. It's ambidextrous. There's a 20 mil palm and 14 mil fingers. So it means it's like thicker on the palm than the fingers, which is great for dexterity while still maintaining kind of that durability. Yeah. Do you have anything else?
Well, we're going to have more coming on that soon. So that one is just one we're excited about. We don't get new products all the time.
It's exciting.
And that one just came yesterday to have some samples go out and stuff. So we'll have more videos, products, and things like that. Maybe next month we'll be able to talk about that one.
Yeah.
But that we do have something coming, and it's a long cuff. It's a really cool glove. It's
We're
very,
excited.
I feel like niche appropriate. It's not for everybody, but it's a very cool glove.
Yeah. So if you're in meat, poultry, any of that,
Yes.
get ready.
It will be a game changer for that one, I think.
Yeah.
But okay, so if we're gonna shift gears a little bit, in general, we've kind of been talking about if for food processing, if it's a little more hands-on,
Mhm.
more involved, depending on what facility, depending on what your product. Some are very, very hands-on and involved. But let's talk a little bit more about it, like if it's automated.
Yeah.
So the digital world and all the age of robots. So some products, being what they are, can be automated. Some have to be automated because of what they are. And then some plants are also developing and modernizing and becoming more automated.
Mhm.
So that also can change what glove is required.
Right.
Just because you've been using the same glove for 20 years and it works, if you change your manufacturing equipment, you may need to change the glove that you're using along with the manufacturing
Yes.
equipment. If it's a little more automated, when we say automated, a lot of it is done by the machines, and maybe there's a little less contact between the product and the humans, or a little bit less, a little bit less intense. That kind of a thing, where the machine is doing a lot of the work, which takes the contact away, is kind of, I guess,
Yes.
when we say automated, what I envision.
That is, yes. Yeah. So, I mean, not to generalize, but when you have less contact, you're not doing as many involved tasks. You can generally go thinner with your glove. And so, but it is still important to think about things that you are handling. So what Sarah mentioned earlier,
Yes.
like if you are getting like a Lunchable, and that's like a more automated process of packing it, if say there's someone at the end of the line taking that off and packaging it into bigger boxes, or, doing something with the product, their glove can still snag on a corner or on something. So it's not that ripping or, thicker, more durable, I guess, gloves are, unheard of in this application, but it is, you can usually get away with a thinner glove. It just does depend on certain aspects of the product that you're, producing.
Yeah, because even if the machine makes it, but your product is like full of nuts, which
Yeah.
can be also quite sharp and rip gloves apart. If there's, or like they can still have the packaging. Let's say you're making granola bars, and depending on how thick or sharp that cellophane edges are, I mean, it could be something where you still don't want your gloves to rip. You just have potentially a lighter requirements of the glove. Maybe is that a better way to say it? So when it is automated, if it is very light requirements, we feel like you can go down to our 2.6, which is our thinnest glove.
Yeah.
It's a thin glove. It's still a great glove. It's still really strong. But it could be something that withstands your processing. But if you do have those sharp corners, maybe you do need to go back up to the 3, just to make sure that the gloves aren't ripping, because of ultimately food safety is the most important when it comes to all of that.
Right.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about, well, a little meat, a little automation, a little not automation. Maybe if we just talk restaurants quick, because when we talk food processing, when we think food processing, we think our customers, we think like the big manufacturers, but food processing, honestly, in restaurants too, they're making food in the back. And it's a totally different environment when you're making a plate of food and putting it out. If I'm working at a restaurant where there's cooks and then there's the servers, and that is also different
Totally
because
different.
the cook keeps cooking. If the cook keeps cooking and they're doing their thing, our 2.6, our nitro glove is great. It's a glove that they're going to be able to feel what they're doing, especially if they're using knives. It's going to be durable, withstand things, but they're leaving them on for a bit of time. But let's say I'd love a sandwich. Okay. So you go get a sandwich and you make me my sandwich. And then when we go to the till, you have to take off the gloves to take my money.
Yeah.
And then you go make a sandwich, put on gloves, make the sandwich, take off gloves, go to the till. If you're doing that, you're going to go through a million gloves. So many gloves. So if you're going to go through that many gloves a day, we actually recommend using a polyethylene glove, just because if you have all of your staff throwing away like 80 pairs of gloves a day, it's just a waste of gloves, where a nitro glove is more glove than you need. You need something that'll protect your hands for a minute or two. And then we actually think the polyethylene. But if you're in the kitchen environment and you have your kitchen staff cooking, then our 2.6 is great, and they can use those gloves for a period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do think that's important. It's like, we do think that nitrile is like a really great, material, but we aren't going to recommend it for every application if it doesn't make sense. Okay. So let's bring this to life a little bit. We have talked about some examples, but, we have a couple customers that we can mention right now, so you can kind of compare to your own process if you see something similar.
Sure.
Yeah. So I guess the first one, so we have a customer, a nationwide food market, using our 2.6 mil fine tough, which is what Sarah was just talking about. They use it in their bakery and in their deli. So that's like slicing meat, prepping food, getting things ready for sale.
Making salads, like the
Yeah. So
I'm from the Midwest. When we say salad, it's full of whipped cream, but like those salads, like the potato salads,
oh
and
God, I was
like
like,
a
what?
like a salad, like a
What
real
do you
salad, not
mean?
these leafy greens we have here in California, like
Oh
a
my
salad
God,
salad.
that threw me off. But
Yeah.
yeah, all those too. Yeah, those salads.
Those are real salads.
Mhm. So
Mayonnaise.
the mayonnaise salads that you need to prep. But it's like ready to eat, kind of more, that deli application, which
Yes.
works great.
A lot of dexterity. I mean, deli meat when it's thinly sliced, the cheese that and it's arranged. It's a great glove. It's durable, but they can also feel what they're doing. It's something they've been using for a long time successfully.
Yeah.
Going a little bit more towards the production side, like I had mentioned, I love Nature's Bakery. They're right down the hill here in Carson
We
City.
love them.
I took a tour of their facility. So cool. And that was really fun to see how like the bars just like come out of the extruder. It's really fascinating. But they had ripping glove problems. We have a case study about it.
Yeah.
So they were pretty open about it, and which was great because we can all learn from them. And I think it's fantastic when companies will like put something out there we can learn from and we can all get better. So they did a case study, and they're using our 4 mil. And they went a little bit higher than like we're saying our 3 is their standard. We went a little bit higher to the 4 because they have that jelly in the middle. It's a little bit tacky.
Sticky.
And then they also pack it into a really thin cardboard. It's not the thick corrugate cardboard, but it's like the cute little Nature's Bakery boxes.
Yeah.
They have a little bit sharper corners too, and the sensitives are holding up that way. So
Yeah.
they use our 4 mil.
Yeah. So that's like, if you see any similarity with your production to that, then maybe that's a great glove to start. While we can't recommend, I guess, other gloves, we would love for you to use our gloves. We also can help you if you just have questions. So
Yes, very much.
Yes. So another one, Cabot Creamery, we absolutely love them. And they use our 4 mil on the production floor or the production line. So that's when they're actually like making the cheese. They'll use our 4 mil. But when they're packing into, these ones are corrugated boxes for them, I believe.
Yeah, they have the big brown corrugated packages,
like bigger.
and then they put the cheese blocks into them. So
Yeah.
it's like a 36 pack of cheese, which
Yeah.
would be the best meal to get ever.
Imagine you get
Oh
that.
my
as,
God.
like, a
Can you imagine that
present.
showed up just like, hey, here's some cheese.
Okay, wait. Have you seen that people get other people like cheese wheels? Like it's kind of like
Those
this
cheese wheels
thing
are insane.
where it's like it's kind of like a gag gift, but not really.
Yeah, but it's like
because
100 pounds of cheese.
Yeah, it's like so
Yeah.
much cheese.
We should
It'd be
work
a
on that.
dream come true
We should
gift.
work on that.
Yeah. Hey Steve, company
Yeah.
presents. Yeah. So yes, they don't. I don't actually know if they make cheese wheels. I
No, they
think They do.
No, but then for the corrugated, they'll use the 6 mil. So like we were talking, you got to go up a little bit. The corrugated, I don't think we have any in here. Everybody knows like a cardboard box. Amazon.
It's like
Yeah,
multi-layered.
Amazon sends me my corrugated cardboard box.
Yeah.
So the brown cardboard box, those corners, and everybody knows it if you've ever gotten the paper cut
it's
off of
the
there.
worst.
They're really sharp, and the 6 mil glove is what we find works really well with that. And especially if they get the textured, they have a little texture on there. It helps them grab and put the product in and things like that. So that one has been working great for them. Another company that we work with that would be a little bit different processing is Old Trapper. They make meat. Jerky. They make meat.
They make meat.
So they make jerky, and jerky is actually, I was surprised, a little bit of a hands-on process. I
Yeah.
thought it would be kind of a dehydrator and just all kind of off, but it is a hands-on process. And they've been using our 6 mil gloves for a while. And also we have clothing we don't talk about quite as much, but they've also been using our smock, which is LDPE, so polyethylene, just kind of like a tank top that goes down to your ankles. So then
Sexy. Very fun.
it's super fashionable. But they use those then, and actually a couple different colors. So it is a little fashionable. But then that helps if there is any splash or spray or anything off of the product, because they use a lot of marinades. I mean, we all love the teriyaki. We all love the flavors. And to get the flavors on there, the marinade is a little bit juicy. So they use the thicker gloves for the hands-on process, but then they also use our smocks for the splashing, just to protect their workers.
Have we ever heard whether or not it's the process of marinating is hard on the glove? Like, is that part of it too?
No, I think the marinating just kind of stays, but I believe they do mix the gloves.
Yeah.
mix
Or
the
the
gloves.
the
They mix the gloves.
marinade.
So when they do marinate, they mix it. I don't think that's quite as hard because the meat's already thinly sliced and there's not any like sharp corners and
And it's
things
not like the
that.
marinade is like sticky.
But it's not, but I mean, they do get in there and mix it too. So it's not like
Yeah.
it's a delicate process where you're just flipping a burger.
No, yeah, they got it.
So that's something where the 6 mil has been working great for them.
Yeah, so that's a cool alternative application. So if you see any similarities there, that's a great option. So switching gears a little bit, a lot of production and companies have sanitation teams. And it really does depend on the task, but our 6 mil is kind of a great baseline that we've seen for these teams. And if you need more protection, depending on what you're doing, we do have like an 8 mil with a longer cuff that we also see used. And that's great for like cleaning out tanks or vats, kind of more of like the industrial cleaning side of things.
Our 6 mils all have texture too, which helps with that because sometimes cleaners or what they're cleaning can be greasy, like drains and things like that. And if they're getting in there and cleaning and tools, and there is a lot of torque, but there's also a lot of slip. Yeah. So our 6 mils do have the durability with the grip. And so they kind of seem like that sweet spot.
Yeah.
But the 8 mils are also great. Yeah. Highly chemical. They have a lot of chemical resistance. They've been tested for a lot of different products, but it's a longer cuff. So if you have like, I don't know, I'd call it like a vat, if that's a word. But if you have to get in and like actually scrub down in something, it gives you a little more protection with what you're using, especially if it is a chemical or a cleaner or something like that.
Yeah, which is great. I definitely wouldn't want my glove breaking if I'm cleaning a vat.
No, and I don't want the chemical running down my arm either.
No,
so the longer cuff is a good place to start for sanitation. The 6 to 8 is kind of our sweet spot that we find for people there.
Yeah.
And then we kind of talked a little bit about meat processing, I guess. We kind of talked about like when they're breaking down the animals, and that's a lot more intense process.
Yeah.
So for that, it's like our 6, you can go up to our 9s depending on what they do. I mean, pork is different than chicken is different than beef is different. So from our 6 to our 9 seems to be for like the breakdown portion, especially if it's frozen, things like that, seems to be a sweet spot. When you get to the other side of, let's say, the rest of the production, depending on what it is, we have a great 5 mil. And we have a couple large meat processing plants that we can't say the name, but we've all had it. But our 5 mil has been great for them because it is a more durable glove, but they just don't need that 6 to 9 thickness. So you can buy a little bit cheaper glove, but they still need it to last because they do use a lot of tools in meat processing.
Yeah. So that's good. And then I think an important note that we should kind of bring up, and we've brought this up before too. So strength in a glove is not just about thickness. So it's actually about the quality of the material that you have in the glove itself. And it's that kind of just boils down to how the glove is made. So like a 4 mil glove on the market right now might actually, be comparable to an Eagle, like 3 mil. And we've had a lot of situations where this has worked very successfully, for our customers. So you can not only save on, material and waste and also cost, by just purchasing maybe a better quality glove. And I do have,
and she's talking in performance. So it was like the performance of a standard 4 mil. A lot of times our 3 mil will match or exceed
performance.
That.
Yes, it's not the same.
So it's just kind of like, it all depends on the quality of the ingredients. It's kind of like when you're making a cake. If I make a cake, if I go home, mom makes a cake from scratch.
Yeah.
There's all the good ingredients. Everything is in there. It's fantastic. If I make a cake out of a box, it's the same product, but they're completely different from each other.
Yeah.
So it's just the ingredients really matter in the glove. And so we know the ingredients of ours. We make sure that they're a high quality glove. And I believe that once you try them, you will notice a difference in performance as well. It should be something that, here, I even have one here. See if I can have it. Here's see if it even fits. So this is our 2.6. It's our thinnest glove. But when the glove, you put on a glove, you should, if I get it, you should be able to put on a glove. You should be able to put it on and not have it rip. You shouldn't have the cuff in your hand. This is a thin glove. I should be able to put some stress on this glove and have the glove not break. And then if you test the fingers, it's like gloves should last. They should not just fall apart. They are not indestructible, but we just don't need to put up with some of the
some of the
junk on the
stuff.
market, let's just say.
Yeah. Mhm.
But there are some other great gloves out there. We're not the only good company. We just know what ours are because we third party test them. The ones we don't test, the rest of them are all made to the same standard. So once we do start testing them, we know they're passed because everything is made to the same standards, same materials, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we know the quality is there. And so if you do talk to us, we would love to talk to you, love to help. If you have any questions about your processing, which gloves to use, which gloves to start with, if you're having a problem that we can help solve, we think about gloves a lot.
We do.
So if that's something we can help you
A
with,
lot.
just reach out to our team and we can even if it's just for information, we'd just like to help, I guess, take the frustration out of gloves. And there are a few, sometimes easy answers, and sometimes you have to do a little testing to get your answer.
Yeah.
But you should not be frustrated with your gloves. They should not be a constant contamination threat. They shouldn't be a waste of material. They shouldn't be a waste of money. You should actually be putting them in your hands. You should be using them. They shouldn't fail halfway through what you're using them for.
Right.
So the gloves need to step it up a little bit, and you can expect more out of them because there are better gloves out there.
And let me,
That's my spiel.
I'm going to put this in our chat right now. It's a case study that is kind of how, gloves can reduce some of your costs.
That's true.
I think it's a good read. I think it's something that sums up what we've been talking about. And I think it shows kind of the value in getting, even if maybe the upfront cost of a higher quality glove is there, you're going to be saving some money.
Yeah. If you go to a thinner glove, it's usually a money savings. But even if you're going from, like, let's say if you're going from a 4 to a better 4, even if you're paying a half a cent glove more, you're going to be using 20% more of those gloves in the case and not having them rip. So it's like, it's almost a 20% coupon because you're actually using gloves instead of just throwing them away.
3 ripping before you get one that works.
So yeah, it's not always an apples to apples comparison, and testing and trying gloves is the best way to do that. So we recommend commercial trials, of course, before diving in with both feet and then not liking what you picked.
Yeah.
And that's something we would love to help with. But in the meantime, we hope this kind of helped maybe narrow down a starting point, maybe some questions to ask, some things to think about that happen in your facility before buying new gloves, or maybe a way to think about the gloves you are using. And maybe there is a way to improve.
Yeah, maybe
and
there's something
make
we can help
things
with. Yeah.
safer and have less breakage and not have the foreign contamination. And maybe there's fewer withdrawals. Wouldn't that make everybody's world nice?
Save some money.
Things like gloves can be really frustrating, but they can also be something you should be able to trust and rely on, and they should add to the safety of everything.
Yes.
So if that's something we can help with, we would love it.
Yes.
But in the meantime, we hope we helped.
Yes.
Maybe selecting the starting point for a new glove in your glove discovery journey.
Yes, we're happy to help. So if you have any topics, we are out of time today, but if you have any topics for that you want us to go over, any questions, just shoot us a message. And
then we'll be back in May doing another one.
We're going to be back real soon. And yeah, as always, thank you for joining, and we hope you have a good rest of your day, and bye.
All right. Bye, guys.